just send you the link. All right, perfect. Finally, seems like I just saw you guys just a couple of days ago, and we did, and but already I miss you. It's like we have, we're on an island here in Arizona. You would think that there would be with Trump and all of that stuff, there would be a lot of things going on, but there isn't. Not in Phoenix, So when we find new friends, we like to talk to them and keep in touch and all that. So I hope we don't bother you guys too much with my endless chit chat on text and things like that. So
love it.
Perfect.
It's fine.
So what's going on?
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
The retrograde is in full flow.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hold on. If you're gonna start reporting news, then let me do my little spiel real quick that I do, so that way I can do the intro, because it's the way it's going to be on my video that's going to go on our Spiritual Therapies with Peter Nanacola. Is that okay with you?
Of course it is.
All right, so here we go. This is Peter Nanacola with David and Elyse Rogers, stars of the recent Charlie Ward personal meet and greet in Birmingham, Alabama, not Birmingham, Alabama, Birmingham, United Kingdom. We have a Birmingham here in America too. And it's almost as dumpy as Birmingham, UK. I mean, but anyways, I had the pleasure of not only going and attending this fabulous meeting, but I also had the pleasure of meeting these two lovely people. They sat right next to me at the dinner. So without further ado, I want to start right in and start chatting with them. And David was just about to share something, and I want to hear. I'm all ears. Take it away, David.
In answer to your question, what's happening for you? It's just been full on since coming back from Birmingham, because David, can you help me? My wife said she wants to divorce me. David, I'm suicidal. David, the retrograde is in full swing.
Yeah.
And it's really powerful.
I just heard this expression on one show with Simon Park. Somebody said that we feel like we are in the tumble dryer and we just want the door to open. I don't know how you feel, guys, but we are so tired. It's just overwhelming.
I came home and Anna was overwhelmed. Of course, we're doing flooring in our house, and I left her to work on that by herself with our trusted flooring installers while I was gone, who don't speak English, by the way. And so I came home, and it looked like she was about ready to fall over from exhaustion. And as you know, I missed my flight, so I was also a little bit exhausted. So we finally have. At least I have finally come around, as it were, after the little bit of jet lag it might have been. But, still and it's not just her. The whole world is experiencing right now an enormous burst of energy. And that for people who are ascended, it will oftentimes bring incredible truths, incredible downloads, and insights. But for the people who aren't, it brings stress and tension and fear. And that's what we're seeing a lot of, not only here, but worldwide. What's your take on that?
You want to answer that?
I don't really. Well, for the world, what's happening for the world? Yeah, it's the Schumann resonance, isn't it? The actual, the frequency of the planet's changing. That's my take on it. Because I work with music and frequency. So I take music and I tune it to 432 or 528. And I've been doing frequency music for about 10 years. And it's only now that it's really coming into play, because on a collective energy, it's being more accepted, because lyrically, it's very important. People want to hear that, because we're coming from the heart, aren't we? We're stepping more into our hearts. So I think, we're going through some stuff energetically. The planet's changing. So,
and since I came home, I had a little bit of a download, expanding on some of the things that you and I experienced, and David as well at the table, but mainly you and I, with that clearing, and that I tried to throw a therapeutic, I do therapy, spiritual therapies. And of course, David does the memory clearing aspect are very similar. They just come from a kind of a little different perspective. It's like a dartboard. You can hit the bullseye and you can have many different directions that you can come from that still hit the direct, and it still all heads towards the bullseye when finely tuned. So in that, we started talking about frequencies, and I actually had a little bit of an expansion on what you and I experienced. God showed me the whole endeavor again. And if we have time, I wouldn't mind sharing it too, if you're interested in hearing it. I resaw the whole event of clearing and killing that demonic. And then he showed me more. He actually showed me, remember we spoke about the different frequencies of spirits. Yeah. Well, he showed me how that works, and he showed me how it looks like in the physical. So it's very interesting, and I would like to share that with you. But with my images, everything comes in an image form. So I describe what I see. It's not I'll write it down, but I didn't write this down yet. You know, I actually wanted to share it with you to see if you had any input as well as we were going along. Would you be interested in hearing that? Because it not only brings the clarity to that and how you can destroy them with simple counter frequencies, but he actually showed me how it actually happens and what it looks like in the real. And so if you don't mind, I can share that with you, or I can share it later if you want to. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, share it.
Let's do it now. Okay. And I wanted to also ask you, David, if you would do me a favor. I was sharing with Anna the physical clearing protocol, but again, I only experienced it the one time on the stage and then again at the dinner. Anna has had a couple of issues that she has suffered from, and they recur. One of them is her knee that she had when she was a young child, and had a sort of rheumatoid arthritic attack, which went away. You know, she had to have medical treatment, even in a surgical procedure, but yet it still continues to come back and irritate her, especially if she hits it. And then the other one, which I didn't discuss with her prior to this, and I hope she's not mad at me for sharing it, is she has had her voice stifled when she was a young child. She was an art student, she was a singer, she was a dancer, all of these things, a fabulous art student, pretty much a prodigy from the time she was a very young age. And then she had an experience where she had been, her mouth was stifled by a teacher, basically insulting her without the teacher knowing. She was standing there listening. But then this last time we went on vacation, and she was with her mother, and her mother seems to have done the same thing to her throughout her years and stifles her voice. And now when Anna is, you know, even contemplating talking about things like this, she gets fear. She gets attacks, even has those coughing spells. Oh, by the way, are gone. Thank you very much. We talked about it.
He doesn't snore.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I wasn't snoring. I'm not snoring. And you, on your shoulder, you said it came back.
Yeah.
God told me that it came back for a reason, because he wants to demonstrate it. He wants you. We weren't finished. We only got partially through. And I asked him, well, how does that? And that's when he showed me the rest. After you and I spoke on text last night, I was perplexed. Well, why did that come back when we already killed that demon? He said, because she needs to learn yet. She needs to learn from that lesson. We didn't finish it.
It was actually, Peter, it was the night before, not that it matters because the time difference between us, but it was 4 a.m. I woke up and this searing pain in this right shoulder.
And you woke up at the same time I woke up. I had gone home and slept. Yeah. I got up, and at that very moment, so God woke us both up. I was waking up from my afternoon nap. You were waking.
Yeah. Crazy, because I think either you text me or I text you. You text me and said you've got more information, and I said, well, actually, I've gone downstairs because the shoulders woke me up again. And you were like, oh wow. So that's what happened. Yeah,
that's exactly what happened. And that after I text you, God really gave me the whole download. He showed me the whole thing all the way through. And when I shared it with Anna, she was kind of like, whoa, you know, because he basically not only showed me all the way through that situation, but he took me and he showed me what it looks like in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th through 10th dimension and lower, all the way down to 0.
Yeah.
And if you want me to share that with you, I would like to do that right now.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go through it as if we're doing it again. Okay.
Yeah.
So that way we can recall everything and I can bring it back to my mind. But as I recall, you were explaining to me the situation, and I did my normal thing like I would do with Anna, where I would put my hands. So I would like David to put his hand on your shoulder and like just touch anywhere. It doesn't matter, because where he touches will be the right place.
Okay.
Okay. Keep your hand there the whole time. Okay. Now, what I'm going to have you do is you did what memory came to mind. You told me about the little boys. The boys that were teasing the white boy. And the way I saw it in my mind, okay, this is what I saw, is I saw a gang of black boys harassing a white boy, and you were there and you didn't know what to do because the boy was looking to you, but so were they. And this is what I saw. So I'm just relating what I saw as I tell this story.
Yeah.
It may be accurate, it may not be, but this is what I saw. And the boy was fearful. The other boy, the black boy, kept talking to him like he was threatening or saying something. And you were deciding, what am I going to do? Should I help him? Should I flee? Should I call the police? Should I fight? All of those thoughts. And that is why it attacked your shoulder. Multiple directions, the most mobile joint on the body. And you, for a moment, then had a doubt about what can I do? What is right? What is the right thing to do? Right and wrong, right arm. Okay. That's why it attacked your right shoulder. Okay. That was your window in your home that opened up and allowed that creature to come in. So that's that. Keep your hand on the shoulder. Now, once we identified that, then we took you there. I said, now close your eyes. So I want you guys to close your eyes, and Anna can close her eyes too. And I'm going to close my eyes as well. And I see, again, I'm back and we're at the plain, the barren plain. It's a vast, like dry lake bed with cracks in the dirt. It's very red because the sunset is red. Okay. Red sunset. The American Indians say red sunset, somebody's probably dead. Okay. It is the sunset of death. Okay. And as you looked in the distance, you saw that little mountain chain and you could see it. And you could see a figure coming. Now, you saw a figure on a horse. I saw blurriness. I saw a shadow. But once you said horse, I could see it. Then it immediately materialized into a horse with a rider. And that rider had a crown, like a helmet on his head. And he had red eyes. Okay. He comes up to you. And as he comes up, you make yourself ready. You lift up your left arm, which is holding a shield, and you lift up your right arm, which is holding a sword. Both are crystal clear blue glass. And so is your body. It's high energy blue, okay, like sky blue, maybe even a little bit deeper than that. Okay, the creature comes up and it swings the sword. And like slow motion, the closer the sword comes to you, the slower it goes. But your awareness does not slow down. Okay, you can move literally with the speed of light as that thing is starting to touch you. You cannot be touched by the enemy unless you allow yourself to be. In this, you block with your right arm, and the sword blocks at a glancing blow, and it glances off and it strikes your shoulder buckler on your armor. In the old knights of old, like in, if you've ever seen the story First Knight, very nice story, made in England, Sean Connery, Check it out sometime.
Okay.
They carry a sword, they carry a shield, and they have a buckler. It's a little shield that's on their right shoulder.
Yep.
You took a blow to that right shoulder. That's why it came back. Okay. But anyways, we're going to keep going. You pivot around like a ballerina, sword above your head, and you're moving fast. His sword is barely moving because he's going in slow motion. And as you swing around, you extend your arm, and with one circular motion, off goes his head. And it falls down on the floor in front of you, and you land with both feet. One foot is out, your shield is down by your left foot, your sword is pointing towards your left foot, and you're ready to go again in case it needs to go for another go.
Yeah.
You're in attack defense position. The head is right in front of you. And as you watch the head, you look back up at the body. The horse is rearing up, not to attack, because the body is spewing out flame, but dark flame, black flame, and blood, like dark, old blood red something, essence that's inside this creature. But as it flows out of its, spews out of its neck, it turns immediately into dust and blows away. As the body dissolves, I don't know if you ever saw Endgames from the Avengers, the bodies all dissolve at the end. That's exactly what this image is. His body just falls apart in ash and blows away. Then you look back down at the eyes and the head, helmeted head. It looks like slate. It's like rock, stone, at least in what I'm seeing. And its red eyes have now turned to orange, dimmer, and now they're black, completely stone, matte black, not shiny black, matte black, because it doesn't reflect light. And it dissolves itself. Now, that's when I said to you, and I'm going to recall, so David, keep your hand on her shoulder. And now you realize that this happened back then. This is something that happened way back. You already defeated this demon back when you were looking at those boys, because at that time, your demon, your spirit was defeating that demon. And you know what? How we know it happened? Snap your fingers right now, David. Snap them. Now your body just felt that. It felt the wave of that energy back then. And it knows that nothing that happened then can affect you anymore. It just got the signal. Your body got the signal. You can take your hand off of her now. Okay, but no, we're going to keep going. Because see, God wasn't finished with me. And he said, so what do you think dimension this is that you're existing in right now? I knew it was the fifth dimension. And he said, yes and no. It's a fifth dimension for Elyse. It is the sixth dimension for you. And I'm going to explain how. So when we normally live in the third dimension, normal people do. When you get, but you can access the fourth dimension. The third dimension is space, pure space. Okay, it is height, width, and breadth. But as you move into the fourth dimension, you can access time, memories of the past and of the future. Okay, that is the fourth dimension. If you go beyond time, and you can go into if you exist as someone who is learning truths, that's what truths do. Seeking God, seeking truth, helping people heal. It pulls you into the fourth. You become someone who exists in the fourth all the time. And you catch glimpses of the fifth. The fifth, you're not bound any longer by time or by space. Your spirit can be anywhere in the world. That's where people get these out-of-body experiences. That's the fifth dimension. When you spend a lot of time in the fifth dimension, or you become a person that dwells in the fifth dimension, then you are always aware of the spirit. You can feel other spirits. You can feel your spirit. When I first met Anna, I first got introduced to the spirit realm. I never knew it even existed before that, even though I'd heard about it in church and everything else. But you know what? I didn't know until I met her. And I could feel her spirit on the other side of the world. You know what I'm talking about because you both are dwellers of the fifth. I know that for a fact because I can see it. But what is the sixth? The sixth, God says, as you move into the sixth dimension, you can dwell in other people's bodies or other people's spiritual space. So while you were killing that creature, so was I. So was David, if he could see himself doing it. So was Anna, if she could see herself. Six, you get a glimpse of the six. When you live in the fifth, you can glimpse the six. And the more you glimpse it, the more you experience it, the more you go towards the sixth. Got it? What's the seventh? You're not limited to time. You can move from that place to another place in time simultaneously. So you could bop from that spot to the future to see what the effect will be in the future, back to the table, back into the past, and see you again. And you can move around in the spirit at the same time. Boom, 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 like a ping pong ball. That's the seventh. What's the eighth? You're not bound by a one spiritual existence. You can be multiple places at the same time, meaning you can be watching yourself kill that beast and be the person killing him at the same time. So you could be looking from two perspectives simultaneously. That's the seventh. Is that the seventh or the eighth? What did I just, six?
Eight.
I lose track. Eighth. Okay. What's the ninth? Okay. You can be multiple places at the same time at multiple times. Okay. Not just multiple people, but multiple people. So you could be watching yourself killing that creature and see when that creature was formed back at the fall of the angels, or when what sin brought it into existence at the same time, multiple places. That's the ninth. Then what's the 10th? You can be other than people. You could be a tree. You can be a rock. You can be the air. You could be the ocean. You could be a star, because you are. All of these things are just, and what I've been told from Mr. Flash is there's 26 of these. Well, God only brought me to 10. And I said, he asked me, do you want to see more? I said, I dare not. I actually said that. He said, wisdom. Because you got to first figure these ones out before you go further. Now he says, do you want to see what this disease looks like? He says, you want to see what's below 3? And I go, yes. And this is important for us both, David. This is for you too, buddy. Because the minute I said that, I could see your face. You know, we're dealing with people with sicknesses. It's important we understand what we're dealing with. Okay. Below 3. What is 3? Exactly. You are locked in 3 when you can't move. Why do the doctors tell people to go in bed, close the doors, put them in comas? Well, coma's a whole different ballgame, but they put them in one place. They bandage them. They hide them away because they want to lock them into one place. The world wants to limit us. They want to enslave us. They want to put us in lockdown. That is their attempt to put us in 3. And if we were in 3, we can't get in touch with 5. You can only get in touch with 4. So you're stuck. The more you're limited, the more you start having to be dependent on medicines, the more you're in 3 and below. As you go down, and you lose your ability to get in touch with your mind. That's why mind-altering medications, painkillers, sleeping pills are so dangerous. They pull you below 3. Because if you can't get in contact with your mind, then you lose your ability. And people in comas do not have dreams. They have no memory. They're out of touch with their mind. That's 2. When you are completely schizophrenics, out of touch with your mind, you're at 2. Now you are no longer able to move at all. You're stuck. You're in a 2-dimension space. Let's go lower. Lower is the dwelling place of disease. Let's imagine that this poor individual we're talking about, and we're not talking about us no more here, but let's say this poor person came into my office and he suffers from his little toe. His little toe has him completely controlled. His little toe is ruling his world. His little toe makes him stay at home. He's lost his wife. He's lost his children. He's lost his kid, his job. He cannot work. He's suffering. He has a little toe problem. So now we're looking at that little toe and we're going towards it. And we see that toe growing bigger and bigger as we get closer. And the nail is the size of a house. But we notice God is showing that the problem is not the toe. It's in that crack of the edge between the nail and the flesh. So you move towards that. And that now the nail becomes as big as a barn door, a barn house, and you're moving closer, and the wall is passing by your senses as you go down the edge of the nail, going towards that crack. But you notice the crack, it's actually, the problem is down in the point at the very edge where the tissue meets the nail in the very corner. So you start heading down towards that. It's this big crevice full of tissue. The tissue now becomes this almost like big cotton ball that is of white and yellow. And it's yellow because there's white blood cells trying to get in there to try to kill that area. But you can see it's still down further in the crack. There's an irritation down there. So you're falling into the deepest crevice of the Grand Canyon, and the walls of the nail and the walls of the edge of the toe are still just passing by you as you fall deeper and deeper, and you're in control, okay? Because you are a creature of the 5th dimension. So you're not afraid, but you're interested in seeing what's going on here. So you're going deeper and deeper. Now you see it. Down in the very corner is red irritated tissue, but there's something about it that's interesting. It has light shining out of it, like pulses of light. And that is the body. It's telling the body, like, pain, warning, come on, fire alarm. There's something going on here. Come, help us. So you go deeper into that, and you pass these walls of this light shining, shooting, and it almost looks like you're falling into a wormhole. It's going so fast, but you're going further and further down. And as you go further and further down, the cells, the very cells of the tissue start growing before you, until they're the size of houses, and yet you pass them as well, following the wall of the cell. Now the wall of the cell looks like the wall of that nail, and you're going down to the very corner where it's touching another cell. There's where the damage is, and you can see it. There's inflammation, there's damage, there's a little tears there. What is that? You see something like hiding in the crevices. In the deepest little crevices, there's like these little shadows, and they're moving. It looks like snakes, little black snakes. And you hear the voice of God say, is it 666? Is that the number of these snakes? And you get closer, and as you get closer, they're not. It's not like 666. It's like one that is making. Have you ever seen an old flicker show go? It moves very like a, and that's what these are doing. They're moving like snakes, but they're moving like images. They're here for a second in space, and then they're there. They move very rapidly, but they're very slowly moving in a figure 8 down in that crevice as you get closer, and that crevice is full of shadows. Then as you get closer, you realize the 666 is just the shadows. And there's only really 66 of them. But wait a minute, is there? No, there isn't. There's only 6 of them. Wait a minute. No, there isn't. There's only one. And it's as you get closer and you finally come to it, your light that is shining out of you is resonating on this, and it's causing this creature to move because it sees you because you see it. When you see demons, they see you. And it's freaking out because it's light. So you're getting closer, and now you realize it is not at all. It's a virus. And it's 6 little balls like a snake, all attached to each other. But are they really balls? You get closer. And as the ball grows from just this little pinpoint to like a dot to a ping pong ball, it looks like it's built of hexagons. It is. It has hexagonal shapes. It's carbon. Well, carbon's demons? No, keep going. And you come closer. And as you get closer, the hexagons, it's a hexagon frame of carbon molecules forming little balls. And now these balls are as big as houses, and the holes, you can actually see through the holes, little hexagons, and there's little shadows moving around inside. Smoke, looks like smoke. But it sees you and it's pulling away. It's like going away. So you go after it and you pass the hexagons, and now you've gotten even smaller. You're now under the realm of the 1D. The realm of the virus is the 1D. That's the quantum, the level of atoms. But you're going past that. And you go past it. And now the atoms are flying by. And now they're so far above, they look like a big dome above your head, falling away. And you're heading toward it. You can see the shadow pulling within itself, like it's sucking down into a singularity. The smokes are trying so desperately to get away, but they have nowhere to hide because there's light everywhere. Your light. And they're like, all it's shown is reflecting off of its matte gray and black smoke as it tries so desperately to flee. And it flees, and you're getting closer and closer, and it's fleeing smaller and smaller until it goes all the way down to nothing. And at the moment I snapped my fingers was also the moment you hacked off the head of that demon. Was the moment that the sound of your songs counter a demonic and cause it to cancel out. And it no longer exists. Well, was it physical? Did God create that? Yes and no. It's created by the actions, by the chants of witches, by the actions of sinners. When they do something, when they kill somebody, when they say something negative, they bring with their sound, that sound never goes away. Like we talked about it at the dinner. And it just bounces around forever, ever getting smaller, ever getting smaller, ever getting smaller, but never goes away. That's them. And the only way they can grow, or not grow, they can get fed, is by causing harm and trying to get you to be afraid. And that's the job of their boss, by the way, that they don't have the ability. They're too small. But they do have enough, they're small enough and irritant enough to keep causing irritation until you put your eye on them and get rid of them in one way or another. That's what he showed me. There you go. You guys can open your eyes if you want. I hope I didn't put you to sleep.
It's late by then.
Wow. What do you think of that?
It feels like truth. Yeah. Feels like truth.
Can I ask you a favor? Can David, could you take Anna through one of those healing things, please? Would you mind?
For sure. Anna, without thinking, allow the first bunch of memories to come in relation to the knee. The moment the knee, the first traumatic memory that you know is the root cause of the knee. And I'm just leaving it open. As the memory comes in, just allow your mind to repeat the thoughts and what you were saying in that memory when it happened. Let me know when you've got the emotion connected to that memory. All closed content, Anna. This is the inner work.
So should I say it or?
No, don't give it any energy at all.
Okay.
So just repeat it quietly. Have you gone into the painful aspect of that memory?
Yeah.
The ow moment. Okay. Have you got the negative emotion connected to that memory?
Yeah.
That feeling created by all the thoughts and all the memories that have always been able to trigger and jar that feeling and that emotion around those feelings in the knee and those emotions now. Would you like to delete them all for good? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Anna, try and make sense of this, will you? Oh, me knee. Shut up, you. Anna, does any of my random mimicry make any sense? Yes or no?
No.
Good. You say yes.
Everybody tries to try, guys, to make the right answer.
Thinking too much.
Yeah, that's okay. Now that you've said no, the machine has to let go of the feeling, the memories, and the thoughts that created it. Has to. That's how the keys of Enoch work. Okay, the keys of Enoch. So gently place any of your hands on the lower abdomen, the belly button. Just rest it on the belly button like that. So it's just gently resting there. And now, just what I want you to do is lightly breathe in as though you're sniffing the sea air. So hand on the belly and just gently breathe in like this. Hold it at the top of the breath. Just give me a nod for yes or no. Has the belly inflated where your hand is? Cool. That means this, which controls where the bad feeling is created, has let go of it. The mind has literally let go of holding on to that feeling now that it created merely by going into the subconscious and bringing it back into the conscious so you could create the feeling again by just repeating the thoughts consciously now. Now, if that's the case, exhale in the belly. If you've kept the mouth closed when you breathed in, just follow my rhythm of diaphragmatic breathing. Has the bad feeling gone?
Yeah.
Try and get it back. Good luck with that. I've just tricked your mind into laughing right after creating the bad feeling and right after doing the breathing. If I can trick you into laughing at my my little jester, the energy of the sacred clown, the fool, who just mimics what you said, but I do it in a really light-hearted way. Your mind here knows, and I do, that if I can get you to laugh, it literally has confirmed it's let go of it. But go to the memory where you jarred the knee, you injured the knee, the root cause of it, the memory that you went to, and repeat the thoughts and try and get the bad feeling back. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah, no good feeling now.
You've literally allowed the Holy Spirit, your breath, that's everyone's breath is the Holy Spirit, to come in. Once you've given the mind permission to release it by saying yes and no to my questions. That's all you've done here. The keys of Enoch is yes and no. And in relation to, does it make sense? Do you want to delete it? And those words literally, once you say yes and no in the right order, it deletes it. And that's why you can't get the bad feeling back now.
Oh.
Peter mentioned another ailment. I delete them straight away by saying, that's interesting what Peter's told me. Yes or no? No, because that avoids any transference and projection going on between me and the person I'm working with. So I know that I'm not a therapist, a healer. I'm a guide to a process that works. And all I'm doing here is facilitating and making sure you're going through the process so that you clear whatever it is. So without thinking is a line from the keys of Enoch. This mind, the working memory of the brain, the conscious mind, the prefrontal lobe cortex goes, without thinking what? Without thinking. Without thinking. Whatever the other issue is that you know you would love to clear, which is ongoing, and Peter mentioned earlier, which you haven't deleted, which you know is an ongoing issue, without thinking, just allow those memories to come in for the final time. And as the memories have come in now, just allow your mind to repeat what you were thinking and saying at the time for the last time. Let me know when you've got the uncomfortable, bad feeling that you've all had.
Can I ask you, David, are you talking about the knee or are you talking about now the voice?
Oh, the knee has gone, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's gone. That's the omnipotent power of the Holy Spirit. It just dissolves it straight away. So now we're on to the voice now. You'll have to forgive me. I delete all the issues that the client.
Hey, I'm just a student here watching. I'm trying to understand.
Cool.
Yeah.
So again,
I've had uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah, you've got it.
Yeah.
Those feelings and that particular feeling you've got there that have always been created by those memories and thoughts that have always been able to create that feeling there. Would you like to delete it for good? Yes or no?
Yes.
Good. Does that make sense, Anna, though? Yes or no?
Makes sense. Yes or no?
Yes, makes sense.
I know that's the problem. The mind, the machine has taken over and said, no, we're keeping her locked in this. We're locked in. Yes, it makes sense. So it holds on to the memory. Say no, Anna. That's okay. That's okay. That's perfectly normal. What therapists do, they solidify. Oh, your pain. Tell me about it more. And I'm going. So, are you ready? Bing. Does any of that make sense? Yes or no? Thank God for that.
She's a quick learner.
Oh boy.
She's on it. Well, the voice trauma is about to say bon voyage. Are we ready? You've said no, it doesn't make sense. Eventually, shut up you. Hand on the belly. Hand on the belly.
Yeah.
Gentle, gentle, light. Hold it at the top of the breath. Be aware the belly's inflated where your hand is. That means it's let go of it. And then exhale in the belly, ever so gently to relax yourself. And all I'm doing here is allowing the spirit to go in here. So it perforates the memory here, hits the cranial skull. And as we hold the breath, it goes here, perforates the memories here, the connection from here to here. And as you're holding it, it's waiting for the final signal to go straight through the central nervous system, which is, and we do it 3 or 4 times, and it goes straight into the psoas muscle, and where the seat of the soul is, all the emotions are stored in the psoas muscle, which is why every physiotherapist is not allowed to go anywhere near it, because they've got to keep that away from healing the humans, because we like them traumatized, says Satan. And that's in every universe city where all the intellects are going and have prevented from healing. Has the bad feeling gone as I've been distracting your mind with my monosyllabic truth, which your mind would go, that's it, what's he saying, what's he saying, what's he saying? As you're doing the breathing, I'm talking anything, the mind's going, what's he, it's got to make sense of the world, because this is the view that it's now got. Because if you, as I now ask you, has the bad feeling gone?
Yes.
Now try and get it back. Good luck with that.
I'm gonna be talking now.
You are.
A lot. Wow. Yeah.
So you can't get the uncomfortable feeling back, the humiliated feeling, or whatever it was, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Gone?
Gone. Yeah.
That's how God's process works.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And the best way I can explain it is the conscious mind goes into the subconscious mind. When I say without thinking, this mind goes without thinking. What? Without thinking. As soon as I say, go to this memory, go to that memory, it goes, goes straight there, straight there. And then I say, when you've got the memory, because I'll see the person behave in a non-verbal way, it'll go, oh yeah. Because the eyes never lie, the seat to the soul, and the windows and the seat to the soul, and the connection to the psoas muscle, the eye movements give it away with the direction for the retrieval of the memories. And then when you've got that, I just ask the mind, then ask you to use your mind to just repeat those thoughts and create the feelings for the final time. And then we do the process of the breathing. It's all gone. Yes and no after the yes and no questions. It's as simple as that.
It makes so much sense.
Okay.
Even with my Pilates study, you know, I know that you have to free some things in the body as well. Like intellectually, I know that I've been through this process. I'm grateful for everything that happened in my life, because I know that it triggered something that I need to learn. And so this I knew, but still some memories are stuck in the body, and they give you this uncomfortable feeling. And with certain circumstances, they being triggered. I had with my Pilates training and with people in the Pilates, when I put them in certain moves that they never did before, they were bursting into tears sometimes, especially the women, because something was triggered and was freed in the body without analyzing it. So this makes so much sense to me.
Absolutely.
With
muscle memory.
And yeah,
that is true muscle memory. They've already scientifically proven that our cells have the ability to, they have memory cells in our individual cells. Every cell in your body has memory cells in the nucleus or in the cell. Why is it there? It's not connected to the brain. It's just there. It remembers things that happened to it, a blunt trauma, an attack, those different kinds of things. It remembers them, and it passes that information on then to the cells as it duplicates and moves on, like memory, like a child does. You can, in the same way, you have to clear those memories, like you're clearing out of the mind. You also have to clear those memories out of the body. That's why we do that snapping of the fingers. So it remembers what happened back. Now, when you think back to that event, you will remember the snapping of the fingers when it happened way back, if you ever think about that event again, which you probably won't even have to. But your tissue will know it already happened long ago.
Yeah.
It can remember it because it did.
Because it was created by the memory and the thought about that incident.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where it all ties together. Mind, body, and spirit. They're separate, but yet they're one. Like the Holy Trinity. It's all the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's the soul, as you say, Anna, those memories, you actually, before you got and incarnated back into the body, you actually chose these chosen life lessons. So you chose to everything, and you guaranteed it by choosing the parents or the caregivers that would actually look after you in those first 7 years.
Yeah, God has really shared with me a little thought on that situation. What he does, especially you sometimes wonder about children. You know, why, you know, what about the children? Well, he showed me that the spirits all stand there when he's giving their assignments at the beginning, when they're first created. And the spirits are like, I'll do it, you know, because they want, any life is better than no life. Any life is better than no life. I had a child student named Jeremy, I write about in my book, who had MD, severe. So by the time he was 11, 12 years old, he was completely paralyzed from the neck down. He could move his hand a little bit to barely control his wheelchair. Now here's this boy is, and I used to work on him, and it used to pain him. You had to stretch his legs to keep him mobile so they could get his clothes on and off. They could get him in and out of the chair. They could wipe his butt. You had to keep him mobile. So that meant you kind of constantly stretch him and do all these different things. For the stronger muscles dominate over the weaker muscles and actually eventually pull somebody into like a little coil. So he didn't like the therapy, but he did like talking, and he liked playing, and he liked to do those things. He was a high school kid. All the children loved him. And one day, a bunch of the kids were getting ready to leave the class, and they were heading up because they were having an after-school event where they were all jumping into cars and going, but they weren't taking Jeremy with them. And he's just smiling. He always smiled. So I took him back in the room, and I was sad for him. And I said, I don't mean to, and I knew that they told me that he was probably going to die soon, and he ended up dying that year, by the way. His lungs, the last muscles to give up are the diaphragm, and they just suffocate these children oftentimes. Anyway, so he's sitting there smiling, and I said, you know, I don't mean to pry, but why do you smile all the time? You know, you see your friends leaving and they're going out on dates, and he goes, I don't need dates. He goes, I got about 1,000 girlfriends here. He goes, everybody comes up and hugs me all the time. He goes, I don't need, you know, he goes, I don't have one girlfriend. I got 1,000. And he goes, well, you got that right. He said, everybody loves you. But I said, don't you miss driving and playing football and all of these things? He goes, you know, I used to think about that a little bit, but he said, every day is a present. Every day is a gift. He goes, I'm happy. He goes, I'm completely happy. I don't miss what I don't have because I'm so full of what I have. I learned a lesson that day. And yeah, we think of it as horrible, and it is horrible that children are taken and put in tunnels and those things are. But to be honest, there are all different flowers in the field, and some are born in the weeds. But if they weren't born in all different parts of the garden, even the toughest parts, it wouldn't be a garden. It would just be, it would look like those rows of flowers in Holland, all in a row, all exactly the same. That's not a garden. That's a farm. It's beautiful to see all the colors, but it's still a farm. And God didn't create farms, he created gardens. And everybody has their place in the garden. And so I yes, it's sad, and you want to bring these terrors to justice that are doing this. But even that being said, for the spirits that raise their hands, I would rather live, even if it's in a cage, than not live. And I know that that's happening out there, and I know it did happen. And it's like, yeah, that's my thought on that. I don't know what that says to you, but or what your thoughts are.
My beautiful stepfather passed away 4 years ago. Really connected to him. He was in my life for 42 years, so he's more my father. He played the role of my father, beautiful being. And he told me quite early on when he passed, because thankfully I was with him when he passed, that it's a game. All this is a game, and to play the game. And you know, as a young child, he took me on as his own at the age of 7, and we used to play games, my mum and Harry and myself. We'd play Cluedo, Monopoly, Scrabble. We'd play games. And my mum had a business just down the road from where I live now for 30 years. This was a second business, and it was a cafe bar in Manchester town centre. And we would go in very early in the morning. I would drive a different route, and we would have a race at 6:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning to the business. So my mum and Harry would go down one particular road, Princess Parkway, and I would go down Chester Road, and we would see who would win, and it was all a game. And he told me from spirit, it's all a game. And ever since he said that, it's all felt different to me. I've not taken it as serious, and it's been a lot more fun, even with the dark. Because it's a game.
It is
one big game.
It takes you out of the 3D, haves, have-nots world, and of the gold and money and paper and all of those things, and working like a slave, and pulls you into a spiritual place where you see it more like it's life. Life is a game. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Bagger Vance. I get a lot of my messages out of movies. If you haven't seen it, you might want to watch it. It's a movie about a golfer who gets visited by an angel, and that angel is helping him get back on track, get back into life. Forget about what's happened in the past. He went through World War I.
What's the name of it again?
Bagger Vance, The Legend of Bagger Vance. It's Will Smith, but it's very, very well made. And so this caddy comes, and he's an angelic being that basically convinces him to get out of the war and come back and play golf. And when he does that, it's almost miraculous how he comes back to being alive again. And he says during that, just like you just said, and that's why I know it's absolutely true what you said, and I know it's godly, and I know it's ordained, and it's prophetic, is that he said the same thing. He goes, life's a game. It can't be won. It can only be played. And it's up to us to decide how we want to play it. Do we play it with happiness or with anger? But it's going to get played one way or the other.
Yeah.
So it's I love that. I love that what you just said.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Hey, I wanted to also remember we did talk at the table, and I wanted to toss Anna into the fray here, and she was able to give you your colors for your names. Yeah. Anna is the color guru. You know what?
No, I'm not a color guru. I just have this weird ability of seeing colors when I think about the name or number or day of the week, and
yeah, pretty much anything, any proper noun she can associate a number with. But we talked about your first names, but what we didn't do is ask about their last name, Rogers.
Oh.
Rogers. It's like Bordeaux brown.
Okay.
Rogers, yeah.
So David is silver, right?
No, you didn't say silver.
Okay.
David is always is warm brown. David.
Warm brown. Okay.
David Ian.
David.
Yeah.
Ian.
David
is
Ian.
silver.
Yeah,
David Ian.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah, because I said Ian. Yeah.
Yeah, you said Ian. That's
but I'm sorry. Was I supposed to introduce you as Ian instead of David? Because
no, it's David Ian. David Ian.
David
Rogers.
Ian. Okay.
David,
all right.
Yeah.
Now you had me there. I was like, yeah, David Ian, of course.
Yeah.
Ian was silver.
Yeah.
Elyse.
Elyse is always this beautiful green, like emerald, a little bit, but delicate green.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I don't know why I have it. I always had it, and
Anna,
with the numbers there.
Anna, what's your color?
White.
Oh.
Wow.
He is red. We are like Polish flag. White and red.
Yeah.
And Friday is red. Always
Oh.
then Friday, yeah. So today we have Friday.
Yeah.
Friday 13th.
So let me ask you this. Okay, here's a new one for Anna. So when I was at the show, everybody started calling me Doc. And Mike Mahoney says, I'm going to call you Doc from now on. And what's funny is when I had my office, the patients used to all call me Doc. And I used to tell them, don't call me that because I'm not a doctor, although I am a doctor. I just didn't want to be associated because I was a therapist. I rather, I didn't like doctors, and but they all called me Doc. And then when I got home, I said, well, Mike Mahoney was calling me Doc. As a matter of fact, he said, when you write me, make sure you put down Doc and I'll remember who it is. And so I was going to ask Anna, what's the color for Doc?
Doc is brown again.
Oh.
It's because letter D is brown. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
A fun little game looking up the colors.
I don't know what is the meaning of it. I don't know why. But I just see it in front of me right away. So maybe soon we're gonna know more.
What I did associate one day is I did an experiment and I started asking her also different words like emotions. And she also had colors. So that was interesting because then I started looking at diseases and they were also counter colors. I'm an artist. I was a painter when I was in high school and stuff. And the color wheel, there's a color and then there's an opposite color of every color that is out there. And when you mix the two colors together, it forms a sort of gray. And it doesn't matter where they're at on the wheel. If you do the exact opposites, you get this kind of gray mud looking color that's in between white and black, dead center. It's the same as mixing white and black. You get that gray. And so that is kind of that cancel theory thing that I was talking to you about, Elyse, about the music and the frequencies. And, the fact that I deal with people, being a medical person, my primary scenario is I get a lot of people who come to me deep in medical conditions, oftentimes in very well below 3D, often in the 2D realm. That's why it's so difficult to talk to them about things that are spiritual, because they're below 3D. They don't understand. They don't even want to talk about it. They just want that pain to go away now.
Yeah.
You know, they want an instantaneous miracle. But they don't realize that a lot of times they've been spoon feeding themselves this problem like a pill at a time for the course of decades. And you can't eradicate, or you can, but the only way you're going to eradicate something with mind, body, and spirit instantaneously is if you kick the spirit in. And they don't have the ability to do that if they're in a 2D to 3D realm. They just can't understand it. I don't know if you've run into that same deal, David. But
oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. The couple of thousand people I've seen in the last 18 months, I've had about 5 or 6. That's a really low percentage. And what I call it, they're invested in the story.
Yeah.
And they don't want to let go of it because, as I explained to them, that's okay. Oh no, I feel as though I failed you. And I'm like, how could you have failed me? I'm just a guide. But you're supposed to heal me. I said, am I? I said, that's the soul's choice. I need your soul's permission to work with you.
Right.
You've chosen not to work with me.
Yep.
Oh, there's like almost a relief in the voice. They go, oh, right. I get it now. And you can see them almost looking at peace. They go, oh, that makes sense now, as if that's okay. Because their soul has more or less confirmed that their mind, they've come here to allow their mind to take them on that journey and for them not to actually come out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
At that moment in the journey, whilst working with me, they may come back a month, 2 months, and have an epiphany, but wake up. It's the timing of their life. My wife used to say, she's so right. She used to say, oh my God, you're the end game for all these people who've had schizophrenia for 25 years, like the chap I was speaking to last night. David, it's all got you rung me to say, I'm okay. This is 9 months of no medication after taking schizophrenic tablets, medication for 26 years.
You're right. I see the same thing when you talk about recurring illnesses and recurring, because I see a lot of patients and what patients, they means they, and they need to be patient if they want to get over this stuff. But the thing about it is when they don't, if they can't get in touch with the actual cause, that means even the event, like you work with the events that cause these problems. If they can't get in touch with that cause, then they're almost doomed to repeat it because they have not learned the lessons they need to learn from that barricade in their journey. God has already showed me that call them a giant, call them a bully, call them a barricade. It doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. It's something that has to be overcome. And if you don't overcome it, you have 3 ways that you can deal with a bully. You can run, you can sit there and take the beating, or you can overcome it. You can beat it, go over him, knock him down and climb right over his body as you walk by. Okay. But the only way you're going to do that is if you use spiritual strength, because they're spiritual beings primarily. Okay. Now your spirit compared to their spirit is infinitely greater, as we showed in our little demonstration, going all the way down to the atom and finding those things smaller than even an atom's nucleus. But that being said, they are still their image, like the little mouse on the wall in the first Disney comedies. They put the little mouse comes in and there's a huge giant coming on the wall, the shadow, and he's afraid because of this mouse shadow coming. That's exactly what they are. Their shadow is huge, but their actual physical essence is small. When we don't deal with them in the spirit, when we don't deal with them in the experiential and in the historical manner, in the cause-based actions, then we're doomed to repeat it, because we go back to our life and we repeat the same patterns that got us in this pickle in the first place. We go back to the same bowl. We go back to the same abusive situation. We go back to the same bottle of beer. We go back to whatever caused that problem, or at least is the barrier stopping us from moving forward. If we deal with it and we move past it, two things happen. A, he can never come at you again with the same demon. That is against the laws of God. Double jeopardy. Can't happen. Once you've defeated a giant, you become an expert. Well, I know Charlie doesn't like to use the word expert, but you become an expert at defeating those kind of giants. That's why when you get bit by a cobra and you survive, being bit from a cobra in the future will not kill you. It's because your body has built up an immunity only in the physical, but in the spiritual, you become an expert at defeating those kind of giants. And there are 39 of them, 39 afflictions, okay? Different types. I don't know all the different types, but I know a lot of them. And most of the people suffer from one of those when they come to see you. There's some kind of affliction. Affliction is affliction, whether it's greed, vice, pornography, whatever. Those are also afflictions, spirits that come at a person. If you can defeat it, if you think you can just take it till it goes away, you can. But eventually you're going to come down the road and there he is again. There's that bully right there again at you. And that's why you gotta go at him with spiritual truths like you do, and go in and defeat him. And then you don't have to worry about him again. I wanted to ask you, Elyse, how's your shoulder feel now?
Feels different. Yeah. I guess the truth is like that. I can't lift it as much. It's not as painful.
Okay, now therapy, it's called spiritual therapy for a reason.
Yeah. Because
the longer you've had something, the longer that it's been afflicting you, you don't have them, it afflicts you, which sounds like this has been afflicting you for a while.
Yeah.
The longer your body can become atrophied because of the way you believe you are affected by this. The pain causes you to think about this all the time. When you don't know it's a spirit and you can drive it away, that spirit can linger on you and cause ongoing damage. Every time you get a flare-up, it's causing more physical damage, okay? Which your body heals and repairs. With each attack, it repairs itself. But what it doesn't repair is the weakness caused by the alarm going off. What do I say? Why do I say that? Did you know that the pain receptors, when the pain goes off in a body, and this is a normal human being, everybody, same, it signals a response in the brain. It causes you to, tells you, slow down. That's natural. You watch American football? If you ever watch an American football game and you see somebody get hurt on the field and they have to cart him away, okay, it happens when they can't walk away. If you watch very closely, you'll notice that they put something on the guy's leg. They put electrodes on it. Okay. And there's a reason for that, because he gets hurt on the, let's say 3 minutes later, they're examining him and determining, okay, now we got to get him off the field. We got to get him to the hospital, to the x-ray, whatever, to go bring him someplace. Hopefully not to the hospital these days, because that's the worst place to go. But anyways, he has to go in to get care. It's going to take a while. By the time he would get from the field to the hospital to actually get care, he could lose 50% of his strength in his muscle through paralysis, because his brain has told that part of his body to stop moving. It stops sending any kind of signals. And in the lack of signals, like in a coma, your muscles don't even get the kind of, when you're sleeping, your muscles are still contracting a little bit. They're staying somewhat toned. If you go into coma, you lose everything. And the longer you're in the coma, longer you lack signals, that the muscles just start to they don't degenerate, they lose their waters and stuff inside. They stop basically replenishing. They're not needed anymore.
Well, I stopped, I'm right-handed, but I stopped using it.
Absolutely. So because the healing's done,
yeah,
the creature's gone, it cannot come back.
Yeah,
Okay? It cannot come back.
No.
Others like it can, but they're going to have to be better, bigger, stronger. Not that one, because they already know you can defeat that one. And you'll just take care of them when they come too, because you know now how. You just go back to the same plane and defeat another one. It'll come at a different. It can come back, but it won't. Trust me, because as they come back, you're going to get rid of them the minute they come.
Yeah.
The alarm is going to turn off, but you've got the residue of the issue needs to be built back up. So now what you have to do is you have to tell it. Tell your tissue, the war's over.
Okay.
Time to get back in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so you put your hand back on your shoulder, and now I want you to do something new.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to think about what that feels like. As a matter of fact, why don't you switch? Why don't you put your hand on his shoulder and let him put his hand on your shoulder?
Oh.
Try this. This is fun.
Hang
This is
on
a fun little exercise.
Hang on a minute.
That's how I do it.
She knows what I'm, yeah, just like that. Just reach over, just anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you can feel the touch.
Yeah.
Now think about your shoulder feeling that hand.
Yeah.
And now I want you to realize with real eyes that it feels warm. Because it does. How do I know that? Because she loves you, David, and you love her. And you would only want to give goodness and health with that touch. It's automatic. So now, knowing that that feels warmer than body temperature, because it does, now I want you to imagine it feels hot, because it does. That is energy, healing energy that comes from God. When God heals us, and all healing comes from God, he delivers into our body healing energy. And then we're left with it to decide what we want to do. So we're giving it to our spouse right now. And you're delivering through your hand healing energy into that body part. And that's what you, Elyse, are feeling as heat. But more importantly, the tissue is feeling it. And you're telling it with the wisdom that was granted to us by Marsari Mudo, our bodies are mostly water. You're telling the water, I want it to start building up again. I want repair. I want rejuvenation. I don't accept that this tissue is old, because it is not. Your body rebuilds itself completely, every atom, every 2 years. Completely. So everything in your body is only 2 years old or younger. So to accept the fact that you are older by image is your beliefs. It has nothing to do with design nor intent of God. So right now you're going to tell that shoulder, not only is it going to rebuild, because God promises what doesn't kill us will make us stronger. You're claiming that, and that rebuilding, that water, that healing energy is going to cause this body to not only get back to normal, like you were when you were 32 years old, the height of your physical career, but you're going to also be stronger because of the promise God gave you. You're claiming it. God keeps all of his promises, and you're just accepting it like you accept every other gift that he brings to your doorstep every single day. And that's what you've just activated the stem cells and the water and the shoulder. And it won't be long before it is better than it was. So you can let go now. I would suggest you get a nice little eating tonight and feed that, bring in some nice nutrients and maybe a nice shot of wine and a little good sex and whatever else that happens to be, on the plate for fun. And trust me, things are going to be on their way to being better. Oh, by the way, you can do the same thing for any part of your body. You can sculpt it any way you want. You can get rid of the belly. You can do anything you want. I've tried it with the hair. It's still in the experimental scenario, but I think it's coming. It's just taking a long time.
Brilliant.
All right.
Oh, fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, Anna, about the colours that you bring forward. Colours have frequencies.
Yeah,
have different frequencies, so it could be something to do with that, because we are moving more into frequency and sound, aren't we, on the planet? We're resonating, we're understanding more about the different frequencies. So yeah, it's a good thing, right?
Yeah, it's interesting, Peter, how I'm aware that Elyse and the right shoulder happened at the time, at the if you like, at the starting point of the launch of her career again as a solo artist.
That's an attack trying to stop her to distract her. Attacks are, if they can't kill you, they will distract you, and that's why it happened. Yep.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's happened.
Well, yeah, I've just created an online course of 9 modules. So a few weeks ago, I filmed 53 videos, short videos over 2 days. And I'm a typist by trade, one of the trades that I do, what I used to do. So I could feel it all through this finger going up to the elbow and there. So it felt like it was more repetitive strain disorder, whatever they call it.
Do not claim anything.
No,
those are all lies. Trust me, from 32 years of practice.
Yes.
And 250,000 treatments.
Wow.
250,000 souls. Okay. I know what I'm talking about. I know by experience.
Yeah.
No quack don't let a quack name you. Give you any name. Don't let them call a disease, because they don't exist.
Correct.
They're just lies.
It's all in the mind.
Yeah, he's been saying that. So, but it's funny because
she's been everywhere, Peter. Do you know the one person she hasn't worked with yet?
I have.
No, let him talk. I'm interested. Come on.
That's what she does, Peter. Go on.
She goes, shut up. Yes, I have.
Hey, mine does the same thing. Trust me about that.
Yeah. But that's as a Heyoka, that's what sets me apart.
Yeah.
Because most empaths walk around with the worry of other people.
Explain to me the Heyoka thing. I want to know more about that real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. The Heyoka is basically the soul on the planet who sat with the Master Buddha and explained to him how to delete the thoughts as they come up, the chatter, which are what.
Okay. Yes.
So that's the path to enlightenment, which is what we did in the process.
Perfect.
If it's a feeling, if it's just a thought in the meditative process, or
others become Heyorkas then, if they learn this stuff.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. But the energy of the Heyoka is the one where he wakes up from the dream of the memories from the past, and he works out how the prefrontal lobe goes into the subconscious mind, retrieves the show me the boy at 7 hurt feelings, and I'll show you the man, and connects with the phrases I've used, brings those hurt feelings up to the conscious mind where you can delete it in the working memory, which is the prefrontal lobe cortex. So the Heyoka is the secret ingredient on the planet to awakening. And there's no coincidence. I was saying at the weekend that most people on the Great Awakening tour avoid me. Why?
Yeah, I didn't avoid you. I was drawn to you like a freaking moth to a flame.
Well, that's totally, yeah, you would be, because you've had enough of the old dis-ease, yes, of the old paradigm.
Yeah.
Not everybody has. So when I'm sat there, that's why I was quite happy to be on the stage, do my stuff and off it. You probably noticed that I was the quickest on and then off the stage. Why? Because the Heyoka has dropped the ego. He's here to destroy the ego. David, you're this. My wife said to me, are you sure? Did you prepare well enough? And I'm like, the Heyoka's not here to entertain people. He's not here to do anything other than one thing. He's clear of his mission. He's cleared all the traumas in his mind and body, and he's here to sit with anybody who's ready to do the same. And I would point out here in this process here, this is very symbolic of my wife not coming to the end of her journey in relation to wanting to clear the trauma. It's the timing, the lesson. The lesson is in sitting with me. But she's not ready. And
you know,
that matches,
yeah. That matches exactly what I have been told by God. And he said, even like I said with your wife, that, you know, like Lazarus had to die in order to be a sign for millions, if not billions, of the ability of God to raise the dead. And your wife had to experience this, to not only see it herself, but to show it to others.
Absolutely.
You know, and you said something earlier on, and I hope I'm not insulting you, when you said I'm not a healer. But David, no. You are. And I'm going to explain why.
People perceive me as that. I'm a guide to
a guide. And that's exactly what a healer is.
Yeah.
A healer, God showed me, is no different than a fireman. A fireman doesn't put out the fires. The fireman gets the privilege of pointing the hose. The water puts out the fire.
That's right.
And the water comes from God. But in order to be a good fireman, you have to have experience. There's 2 ways of getting experience: repetition and practice. That's why it's called medical practice instead of medical experience or medical learning or medical whatever. It's medical practice. And secondly, if it's not practice, it's through experience, where you've suffered, you've been to war, you've patched up or helped patch up numerous soldiers who have almost lost legs or have lost legs. And then you become a surgeon because you've seen it done or had it done to you many, many, many times.
Sure.
The most experienced doctors are really the ones who live through it themselves. As a matter of fact, the old days, before these modern idiots that call themselves doctors, that are nothing but regurgitated pamphlets for the pharmaceutical industry, before they came along, the most experienced person in the village was usually the doctor, which is usually some old lady or some old man that happened to live through 20 plagues and knew how to recognize each one for what it was. So he could say, okay, that's the ankle plague, or that's the throat plague, or that's the ear plague. This is what you need to do. Check this, because this is what worked before. These berries worked, or this herb worked, or this water worked, or this bath. That's the real doctors. Experience, like yourself. You are a doctor. You become a doctor through experience. How many patients, how many people have you helped?
In the last 18 months, just over 2,000 people.
Yeah, in 18 months. Is that all you've been doing in 18 months?
Taking it easy, really.
Wow. I'm just saying, you've only done this for 18 months?
No. That's since Charlie Ward introduced me to the world.
Yeah. I was the same way. I was stuck in the system trying to make the changes, trying to think I could change the system for until Nino came along and woke me up and said, "You listen, you're not going to get anywhere going one-on-one, because the people 90% of the people 99% of the people I was treating were stuck in 2D because they're big toe hurt. Like I said, they don't think about spiritual stuff, nor do they even want to. And then, like you said, the few that might think about it, that have bought into the system for 30 years and have been taking pill after pill after pill after pill after pill. And then you tell them, wait a minute, it might be the pills that are causing you to have this problem. And they look at you like, now they feel like fools to even contemplate that the doctor might have been trying to poison them is an insult to their own intelligence.
That's right.
And they would rather die than admit they were stupid. I get a lot of those too.
That's the ego problem.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyways, fun being a medical healer /
guide
person. Yeah, guide. Yeah. Fireman,
yeah. It is.
You've been doing it for a long time though. The healing, it's like it's gone full circle a bit like
How long have you been doing it, would you say?
17 years.
Yeah.
Wow, 17, nice number.
17, nice number. Yeah.
Wow.
My wife's the numbers girl. She sees the numbers everywhere.
Yeah, this is my time. Yeah, everyone who's interviewed me has said the same thing. Oh, this is your time. I go, yeah, it's the Great Awakening. I'm here. The Heyoka, the last known Heyoka on the planet was Jesus Christ.
That's right. I started the healing scenario when I was in my 20s, going to medical school and that sort of thing, but knowing I wanted to actually do more natural healing than pharmaceutical-based healing. I actually was an immunologist first. Not that I'm proud of that, but I happened to have an attack when I was 14 years old that almost took my leg, and I was miraculously healed. And I think from that moment on, I realized that at very least I needed to do something that was in the area of healing. And one of the things that I try to emphasize to my people when they do receive some kind of healing from God, even if it's through my guidance, is now what? Okay, you can do, when you get a gift from God, you can do three things. You can bury it in the ground, which is the worst thing, and not share it with anybody. Or you can partially share it with a few people, or you can go out and actually give it away like you're trying to heal. You can share a little bit, or you can actually try to become a healer, or at least a guide. And if you go and give everything away, God will give it back to you 10 times. So you can't outgive God. You cannot ever outgive God.
Yeah.
If you give it away 10, if you give it away 5 times, He'll give you back the 5. If you put it in the ground, He'll take it away from you.
I'm very much aware of that. Yeah, very much aware of that. People have said to me, David, why are you giving it away? I said, because it's not mine to keep. It's God's. I assumed the mission. I literally assumed it, took it on, and awoken 5 years after losing my 2 friends in a road traffic accident. He came back to save my life, told me I had a mind puzzle to work out, and the rest is history, really. He guided me to actually ask the right questions to the right people, to link out how this communicates with this, creates the bad feeling, ask the right questions, how the hell we get rid of this bad feeling, and paid attention to the synchronistic utterances of random people during the day and songs on the radio, which guided me to spirit. soul, breath, and then the rest is strength.
Yep.
So in answer to your question,
beautiful.
Yeah, that's how I worked it.
I love this, that we're constantly learning new stuff, and you've already taught me so much. Thank you so much. And I'm going to steal your
You're going to
knowledge.
steal God's process. He'll be watching you, Peter. I won't care a thing, you know, I won't care a damn, you know. I want as many people to be using this. It means
absolutely
I achieve my mission. It's rather selfish, I know. The whole planet will be healed. I know my mission. Only today, I sat with an elderly gentleman. I'm sure he'll forgive me for that. He's in his 70s, late 70s. I'm sure he's not old, because in the new awakening, it'll last for another 70. Yeah, I'll probably
63 myself, but so ease the reins back in front.
Yeah. The point I'm making, Peter, the point, he doesn't look like you. He looks older.
Really?
I just named his chronological age. He doesn't look like, he looks a lot older.
Wow.
And he watched me in the middle of our meeting. I'm planning to a project for him, which will basically enable this chap to leave a legacy. And he said, "You're doing this for me?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You don't know me?" I said, "I do. We've known each other now for a couple of hours." And he said to me, "You're doing this for me?" I said, "I'm doing it, yeah, because of the 24 years you spent at this soccer club, grassroots." I said, it was going to leave no legacy. The people that you have saved on your journey by providing them with recreational activity is untold. And I've given him a list of tasks to do. And one of them is create a picture history of all the previous players and where they went on to. And he was mesmerized by the number of names that have played at this local club, and they played for their national team. Iceland, Republic of Ireland, from this little club that hasn't got a clubhouse. I've done the drawings. I've done everything for him. I did it at another club, but they reneged on the agreement, this particular organization, which was fine. I just walked away, as a Heyoka does if he's not appreciated. And we left, and we met at 11:15 this morning, and we finished at 3:30, 4 o'clock. And he left, he looked at me and said, "You're going to leave a legacy here in this town." I said, "That's the intention." He said, "That's incredible." I said, "You ain't seen nothing yet. We're going to cookie cut it all over the UK and all over the world." And he said, "You're going to do it, aren't you?" I said, "Why do you say that?" He said, "You've shown me some evidence of it already, that it can be done." And I said to him, "The main point of me doing it is this is my life purpose." And he said he's never heard anybody say that, legacy, life purpose. He said, "I've reached the age I have. You've completely blown my mind today." He said, "It's going to happen, isn't it?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, I know what you've done here because of other people that have been in my life, but you're the missing piece for helping people with mental illness, aren't you?" And I said, "What's convinced you?" He said, "The way you just pulled up the screen, went onto Facebook Messenger, this young lad who was struggling, I could see it. The guy didn't care. He was so desperate to clear his addiction to medicated pills. He got the urge up, the eagerness to go out and go and get them. And he said, I saw it lift away from him. He said, "I wouldn't tell that anybody." He said, "But I saw it with my own eyes." He said, "I wouldn't have believed it otherwise." And this is a guy who's never had any experience of what he just witnessed with me.
I've seen those same demons. I've seen those exact same demons just manifest.
The smile on the young man's face. I said, now try and get the craving back, the urge back. I went, oh, it's gone. He went, how do you know that? I said, the little boy's returned with the big grin. It's the when we smile, it's subconscious. Yeah. He said, I can't get it back. I went, I know. Now go and hug your mum, who spoke to me yesterday and told me that you, at 8 o'clock EDT in Florida time, you'll be ready for me at 1 o'clock. And our meeting just relaxed with 1 minute to go before he said, and he reminded me, the guy who was having the chat with today, the elderly guy, he said, oh my God, he said, you're going to be late for your meeting. And I went, bump, bump. I said, he's here now. Do you want to watch? He went, so he knows that the process works.
Yeah, but it's all closed content. It's private, isn't it?
Yeah, he didn't know was getting rid of the urge of medication. He didn't know.
Wow. Nice.
But Dave, you've played football Dave's got real passion for football, just like I have.
Only because it was deprived of me by the perpetrators of satanic ritual abuse.
Wow. Yeah, I had satanic ritual abuse attacks against me. Like I shared with your wife, in my first marriage, took my wife and our unborn child, only to find out 35 years later, or 30, now it's been 30 years later, that that what they told me, the actual death of her, was a complete lie. And the people that were all around me were all surrounded. Many of them were surrounded. I was surrounded by Masonics, 32 and 33, the 33rd level, which we shared before. I'm not going to get into that now, but yeah, that I hope you've been thinking about that music, because I've been doing nothing but thinking about that music. You, Elyse, working with me in that screenplay, because it's turning more into a screenplay than a book, although the book's almost done. Yeah. And powerful. I mean, on my way home, all I could do is I was going through various scenes that I've already written, and music was just blaring in my head, certain songs. And it doesn't mean I want to have those songs, but they speak to me, while I think about these events. And so what I'm going to hope to do is have you see these same scenes or read these scenes, and then I tell you what I'm thinking, and then see what if it stimulates you to either sing those songs, those specific songs, or others that you might be more prompted to write yourself.
Sure.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I've always wanted to write a soundtrack for a movie. It's one of my biggest things, and a musical.
I never knew that, Peter.
Yeah.
There you go.
She's admitting her heart's desires.
Yeah. So when we divinely sat next to one another, because it's quite weird actually, because there was 20 tables in that room. There was 200 people with 10 people on each table. And when Tara, Charlie's secretary, had allocated the numbers, it ended up that me, David, and my friend Sam from London, she was staying over, we got allocated number 9 table. And that's numerology. I am a 9. So I was really excited, because I was like, number 9, yay.
Completion.
And so
it's funny. And when I was standing picking the number, I was standing there. Charlie's table was gone. Simon's, because I was really late to pick.
Okay.
I didn't know that they were supposed to go back there and pick the tables. Simon said to me, "You're sitting at 10," which I think was his table, but I wasn't sitting at 10. I went to Tara, and she goes, "It's not available. It's neither is Charlie's, neither is Mahoney's, neither is Atwood's, And so I said, well, then she goes, "Just pick one, And she said, "You can always sit close, And I go, "What table are they sitting?" She couldn't even tell me that. And so I looked at the numbers, and at first I was going to reach over and grab 17. But something told me to grab 9. God told me, he took my hand and he literally brought it over there. And I go, 9 it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And I think it was because I wanted 10, but it wasn't available.
Well, I actually wrote those cards because I helped Tara. I was out the front room in the small Hudson suite. And I said, you need help, with that, because she had a lot of work to do. And so she was doing the even numbers, and I ended up doing the odd numbers. And I actually finished on 9, although there was 20 tables, because then I was selling CDs in the corner. So then I had to go back and see a customer. So I left it, and then she got help from somebody else. So I actually finished it on 9. So it's all significant. But when we turned up to the table, David and Sam were actually in front of me. And I remember just overtaking David and Sam to sit next to you. Because I don't know, it's an old thing, man, girl, when you sit at a table, because we kind of made it go that way, didn't we, around the table, more or less.
Well, did you notice the couple that was sitting next to me, the young girl and the young man? They were standing in front of me on the line to pick the table, and I had a conversation with the young woman who was, she was, I don't remember what the conversation, but it was very spiritual. And then when I picked table 9, she goes, oh, I think I'll get table 9 as well. And that was the only time I had seen her. And then when I was sitting next to my buddy, who I happened to sit, so I gave one of my tickets to Max, who was sitting by me in the audience because Anna didn't come. I was sitting across the table, and then I noticed she was sitting there. I go, oh yeah, there you are. She goes, yeah, this is my husband. So I went over there to sit down just to talk to these two, and I sat next to the husband. Not wanting to sit next to the girl, and we were chatting, and then all of a sudden the table was full, and I thought, well, I guess I'm sitting here, and you were sitting next to me, and I didn't even know it was you until you said you were you, because you changed your clothes. Remember I said that? You're like, I recognized David, but there were a couple other bald guys in the neighborhood that I walked up after. And when I went back to go to the bathroom, and I walked up to this other guy that looked a little like you, he had also a bald head. And I walked up and go, well, that was great. I really like that thing about the healing and this and that of the breathing. I think I'd like to talk to you about it. And the guy goes, well, I'd like to talk to you about it because I just got here. I don't know what you're talking about. I was talking to the wrong person in the back of the place. I thought, all right, okay, I'm not going to assume, like you said, you were only on stage for like 5 minutes. So I was trying to.
I was on and off. And that's because it was ordained that way. It was ordained that way. I looked across the sea and I thought, crikey, most of these, I've seen these. I've worked with them. So
wow.
They were primed, and 10 people the next day said, oh my God, David, we've worked with you, but still stuff came up for me to clear. And other people who I'd never worked with said, oh my God, what the hell was that? That was the most amazing thing.
No, the whole event was actually, it was for me as well. I had so many connections that I made, and it wasn't just business connection. I'm talking about spiritual connections. I had a spiritual connection with Atwood. I mean, we touched, and his poem, I know that I'm gonna actually, the one I see you is going to be an integral part of that book, because the whole thing is what it was supposed to be. My life and my ascension is what it started out as. It's turned into this book of people who have been my daughter, being one, who's been taken by this satanic. Then I find out, like I shared with your wife, that I have a mentor, that I've read his stuff. And so I call him up and I want to talk to him about, when you put a person in a book, you have to put a little bit of history if they're a main character, because you can't just drop them in. You got to give a little bit of, you got to bring them in, maybe a chapter in, or maybe when they're little, whatever. You have to develop the character. And so I'm talking to this man, and I'm asking him about his father, about his mother, about this and that. And it turns out he had a sister who lived in the area of the Black Forest during World War II. May have did have a child taken from her, may have been hunted herself, and survived the hunting, but ended up in an insane asylum with a horrendous head wound. They have no idea where it came from. I wrote about this before he told me that story. And I said, Peter, I think I'm going to write that you have a sister that had that was during World War II and survived a hunting event, and he just about fell out of the chair because he did.
Yeah.
And it's like God is showing me all of this stuff. This whole book is full of visions of these. See, this is not a book about a hunted man becoming a hunter. This is a book about what it's like to survive in those cages as a child.
Sure.
And you're going to see the world through her eyes in that cave. Wow. And how she learns to speak even though she's in a cage, how she falls in love, how she learns of God in the darkness, how she begins to sing, all of these things.
Wow. So the movies with the third book, this is your third book that you.
Oh, I've written quite a few books, but this is the first novel. I'm also writing a book about Anna. She's got a mesmerizing story about coming from the East to the West, seeking spiritual enlightenment and love through the circus and through animals and through
like Charlie's wife.
Yeah.
Wild circus life.
And how they intertwine. But no, this is the book I was talking to you about the hunted becomes the hunter, that I want you to help me with.
Yes.
This is I've written other books. The other books are all about healing and about spiritual therapy and quantum ascension and different things like that. The one I'm talking with you about, I'm getting ready to release. And when I release it, I want to have the screenplay ready. That's why I wanted to talk to, I felt like this screenplay needs to be handed to Jim Caviezel. Not that I want him to play in it, but maybe help me with it. I already know I'm going to get all the money I need to produce it. I know I'm going to get all the money I need to hire the people I need. I've even seen who needs to play the various roles. But Mel Gibson really speaks to my heart. And if I could even just hand it to him in order to have him look at it, that would be a dream come true. Now, whether that happens through you, David, or whether it happens through David Nino Rodriguez, who is a friend of mine who also knows Jim very well. And it seems like Jim Caviezel keeps popping back into our life. You know, God is just bringing him back in, bringing him back in.
You know what is funny? That Jim Caviezel was born the same day as me.
Same day, same month, same year.
David Nino Rodriguez was here by us, and he had Jim Caviezel on the phone. And so they were talking, and it was funny because it was like he was in my house. And I Googled him, and I said, my God, September 26, 1968, my date of birth, the same like Jim Caviezel.
Wow.
So David even said to Jim. So I see it as really divine time now, that we as souls meeting our soul families. We're supposed to meet together. That's why this feels so divine.
I hope that you don't feel insulted by this, and I'm not trying to leash on you guys, but I really believe that you guys are part of our soul family. I left that place, and I said to Anna, he was like, I've never met friends like that where I've had such, sometimes you meet friends and you talk with them, spend some time with them, and then you're like gone, and you're like, okay, you don't really think about it again for a week to, a couple of weeks, maybe even. And that's mostly the way it is, even with very close friends I've had. But with you guys, it's like I'm almost like drawn to contact you and talk to you, and I don't know, maybe continue these discussions we started. Yeah. I don't know if you've experienced anything like that, or maybe you feel the same way about us.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, a Heyoka, by its very nature, he's a loner. So he used to sit in his little teepee at the end of his ravine, and now I sit on the city at the end of my screen. And no, because the Heyoka, I was only saying this to you the other day, wasn't I? Was it in the last 24 hours, that the solitude of a Heyoka is he attracts into his life those that need, and want to clear what they need to clear, and then they ascend to do what they need to do. So I've got a feeling from my perspective that is exactly what the being drawn to me is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I am drawn to you as well, but I was, to be honest with you, I was not drawn to your wife because she's female, but I was drawn to her because of the connection with this music thing, because that is, and so my question about being drawn is also to you as well, Elyse. I wonder if that is what your thoughts are on that.
We've known for a while. I'm going back to 2011, 2012, 2013, so a good 8 years ago now, 8 or 9 years ago. I used to sing live at what we call here in England the Mind, Body and Spirit Fairs, the MBS events, festivals. And that's when I first invented the Love Energy album. And I decided with God and all my guides of the highest order that I was writing positive lyrics in all of my songs, so that I do pop and dance music. And so what I was going to share with you was, at these MBS fairs, you get a lot of clairvoyants, a lot of mediums, psychics, and I do know quite a lot. And from day one, from all those years ago, they've always said to me and to David, you guys are going to be big in America. So there was no, when you mentioned it to me, it felt completely natural, because it's been a long road for me to get here, because my music's now finally being accepted and understood by the masses. And for that, I'm very grateful, because I've been in the background for so long, which would make sense with the shoulder and with the chest area, because you can hear it's quite croaky. So, I had a really important gig on Sunday at the Great Awakening event, and my throat had gone. I had lost my voice for the last few weeks. And I had to work really hard and dig deep on that. David did some hands-on healing with me. I had honey, I had ginger, I had lemon, and it just went on. And I said to God, what is going on? And they just said, the reply was, this is happening because you're going to come through it and it's going to get even stronger.
Yep. It's just like we talked about.
And
so, then the reason I asked too, and I asked, I don't mean to cut you off real quick, but I need to
it's okay.
in here. The reason I asked that is we, when we get excited, well, I get excited when I see these spiritual connections. And like in the case, what happened with David Nino Rodriguez, I can sometimes come a little overboard, especially in his case, he wasn't ready for it. And so he saw it as a little too pushy, as it was, so I'm hoping that's why I'm also trying to get a feeling from you guys. I don't want to push myself on you either. If I ever seem overbearing or pushy or wanting to chat too much, you just please feel free to shut me up, because I do have no desire to do that.
The weekend, Peter, I was overwhelmed and excited at the same time. I don't know if you noticed my response when I just stood up there and I thought, oh my God. I'd arrived. I felt as though everybody knew me because of being online, and I knew nobody, even though I recognized a lot of faces. And that's how I felt. It was like it was figure and ground. The ones that I knew just blended out of my focus, and what all I could see was these people, the look of adoration, really. I knew I was loved.
I didn't notice that moment. For me, the most significant moment, because I didn't know you, the most significant moment of my memory for you and me, David, was at the end when you gave me the most loving hug, and I really appreciate that. It was absolutely wonderful, and I thank you for that. And it was at that moment, even when we were at the table, I had a nice connection with Elyse, but I was, until that hug, it was at that moment I said, this guy is my friend. And I want to thank you for that. And and so that's what I was trying to express there with that.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, Peter, without a shadow of a doubt, a Heyoka, he feels other people's energies and then he disconnects from them so that he's able to actually see himself and the other person. And kind of rounding up the conversations as a whole here, the game of life, the healing processes we've shared with each other. What a Heyoka does is he brings communities together. He shares his healing modality, leaves it with them, and then he moves on. And that is what I'm doing now. I actually shared with one of Charlie's, well, with Mark and Lee, Charlie's techie guy, if you like. I said, hey guys, I might not be doing the other gigs. And they went, oh, why is that? And I said, this is going to sound surreal, but I think I've found at the same time as this happening, I think I've found the football club that I want to do the outbreak of healing soccer at the root cause of where I believe it's been sabotaged and humanity's been sabotaged, which is in the grassroots of every family home, which is when these perpetrators were in the football clubs in the grassroots. That's where they were doing their stuff. They were grooming the kids and then taking them to the established professional clubs. Well, my mission is to actually educate the parents about grooming so they're not fooled by it. My process, and I said to Lee and Mark in a message, I said, I don't think I'm going to do it. And they both said, oh, that's, you've got to do what you've got to do. I said, but I'll give you more information as to when I find out if this is the path that I've got to take. And of course, by the end of this week, and it's not even got to the Monday of next week, which would be a full 7 days, I already know that I can do the dates in September, because after the meeting today, it's all been, I can carry on, but I didn't want to commit to them if I had to carry on now,
right,
implementing my life purpose.
Absolutely.
So
that Shama, what Heyoka, how do you pronounce it again? Heyoka is very similar to this experience I've had as a spiritual therapist, because it's the same thing. You bring in this knowledge, but you very quickly, once it's delivered, you have to pull yourself away. I've often told my wife, we're like a spiritual island here in Arizona. We have nobody to talk to. And it's because nobody understands. You try to go back to your colleagues. There's a few enlightened doctors that are trying to do what's best for the patients and stuff, but they're still deeply enthralled into the system. They're dependent on the system. They're dependent on, and that means they have to follow the rules. And like you said, when you're dealing with a patient and you're helping a person, helping them realize and obtain that God-given healing that is promised to them, just pick up the promise. It's right there. Just grab it. But they have to understand it and be able to grab it. After you've done your duty, you're ready to move on. You don't, I have the same thing. I have the same feeling. I push away then. It's like, okay, done. Time to exit this. Not exit you or exit the Charlie Ward scenario, or even exit Phoenix, or where I live, or Tuscany, where we're going to live when we move there, which is what we're going to do eventually, because I've seen that. But it's going to be exiting the life of that patient. Okay, if you want to become friends with that person, that's a different ball game. But that relationship of patient, helper, whatever we want to call it, that's different than friendship. Does that clink with you, or am I talking your language as well in that department? What's your take?
For sure, because there's got to be a synergy between people. There's got to be, in order for there to be a mutual exchange, it's got to be mutual. There's got to be a shared knowledge and the wisdom, and then the application of it, for sure.
Well, I picked up on what you were saying. We need to wrap this up.
It's late by you.
It's late, and I really have enjoyed this, and I'd like to continue this another time and maybe further develop it. Again, you and I, Elyse, are going to be talking a lot more come in the future about the music. I'm going to want to call you and talk to you, and maybe even throw you over some writing, let you read it, see what it says to you, give you my ideas about music, and see what you think. I've had a lot of influence already from music from Tindersticks and from Bocelli. Enya, I spoke with you about, and you said you sing like Enya, and I can tell. And
I didn't say that. Someone said I sounded like Enya. Was it you who said
it was
that?
me. It was me.
Yeah, that's never been said before. And
wow,
that's
what does that say to you?
Amazing, because she's from Ireland. I think she's still going. And just, on a healing capacity, that's just amazing what Enya's what the legacy that she's left, really, and what she's been. Do you know Enya, don't you?
I've heard of her.
You've heard of her.
Yeah.
The music is absolutely mesmerizing. But and you can pick up, if you've seen The Gladiator, a lot of the songs of Enya were throughout The Gladiator, so it makes it easy for you to identify the music, Ian. You can, that way you can pick it up. You can.
Is that what you're looking for? That kind
of? No. I'm not looking for any particular melody. I'm looking for the soul of the music, whether it's the spoken music or it's the sound, or both. Because it's the sometimes a more rock and roll song can really heighten the emotion, especially if you're talking about or an operatic a Wagner. If somebody's being hunted, you might have that kind of song in the background. I'm looking for the perfect song for the scene, for each
needs to
scene.
be felt after reading what is it all about,
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And I already am hearing those songs, because when I'm writing these chapters and then rewriting them, I can actually hear the music in the background. And
you do know, you won't know this actually, sorry. There was many people coming out to talk to me and buy my album in the hallway of the Great Awakening. And there was a beautiful couple, and he was called David, because he said to you, that's a great name. David Williams and Jane, his wife. And David runs a choir in Torquay.
Wow, perfect.
And he's a choir director, and he's got 50 people in this choir.
See, and I already know I'm going to be putting in some of the music, even if it's remakes of songs that are typically guitar, drums, the regular band. You could put choir, like almost angels singing in the background. I love that.
David said to me, Elyse, he said, I've come over because we want to buy your album, but we want to chat with you. And I was like, that's fine. It's great to meet you. He said, I was wondering if you'd like to do a collaboration sometime. And I said, because I was going to mention it earlier to you, and I thought this is a great opportunity to mention it. And I replied, I don't really do collaborations. I've done them in the past. At the moment, I'm kind of on a path where I'm kind of pulling in everything, getting my house in order, all my admin, so that when it takes off for me big time, I'm ready. Everything, it has to be logged for me to collect royalties. That's quite a big job to do. I am a prolific writer. It comes through very fast to me. The quickest song I ever wrote was a song called Love Is, and it came through 5 minutes through this right ear. So I know this side's really powerful. There you go. That's
See, and I know exactly what you're talking about, because I'm the same way with my writing. My stories come in and I just write them down.
Yeah. It comes in. Does it come through a particular side, left or right? Or?
It comes in the form of an image, but you're right. It always comes in kind of in the left side of my
I'm right.
vision.
Are you left-handed?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
It comes always kind of in from this left side, like this. It comes in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mine's right, and mine comes from like behind and filters down.
Yeah.
And I know it's not me, because I practiced this many years ago with someone who was helping me connect to spirit. Because that, back then I thought it was all woo-woo, and I was like, I didn't know the power within me, in all of us, that we can do that. And this guy said to me, I would know, because I would just know it's all unique to you. And I know the difference is because they say it 3 times. Mm-hmm. So if I ask a question and the reply comes, say I ask the year, for example, my auntie who was alive, she died in 2014, my auntie Anne, we tried it on her, and you put something in an envelope and then you ask spirit of the highest order to show you what's in that envelope. You don't know, but she knows. My auntie knew. And all I could explain, I could see it. They were showing me, and they told me 3 times. They told me 1960. They gave me 1934, 1934, 1934. So I know it's not me, because it's coming through. They showed me a circle in a square, and they showed me the date, the 6th of February. My auntie flew up off the seat of the chair, ran out the room, swore at me and said, stop messing about, you're playing with my head, and ran out.
Your 1934 is 17 in gematria.
There you go. Just as a synchronicity. And it turns out that her first husband, he was a lot older than her, that was his year of birth. That the 6th of February was actually his birthday, and that the circle in the square, when I opened the envelope, it was a key ring with a circle of a photograph of him in a square block. So I'm just explaining that that's how spirit works. It can work for everybody, anyone who's listening to this recording.
When you're willing to look, God reveals himself in everything around you. Numbers, plants, movies, books, license plates of cars that drive by, billboards that just
all the time.
Anna, she sees it all the time. And if she's getting a message, she sees it over and over and over and over and over. Like you start to think, all right, I got it.
Yeah.
I saw the 107.
I'm going to
times in a row.
I'm going to ask you a question now, actually, Peter, and if you both know this. When I speak to God, I always make sure that I ask God of the highest order, because I feel that there can be some imposters, although there's never going to be God.
But the good news is, the more you ask, the easier it becomes to recognize his voice. See, it's from God, because he always has the same voice. And you also know it's Satan as well. I was walking up, when I was going through a divorce, near-death experience, I was climbing Camelback Mountain as a way to basically torture my body and get myself in touch with the spirit. The more you beat down your body, the more acceptable you are to the spirit. And I was doing that as kind of like a drug. And one day I was walking up the mountain, and I heard, as clear as day, follow me and I'll give you everything you see. And it wasn't God's voice. And it was the devil making me a deal, offering me. And he said, you know what? Don't even follow me. Just turn around and go back down. And I didn't. I just kept going. But you know what? You're right. You got to have discernment. But when in doubt, ask. You have not because you ask not. That's one of the most powerful statements in God's word. So I use it all the time. I have not because I asked not. I use it with patience. Why is this person having this problem? God, I'm asking. You said we have not because we asked not. So I'm asking. He has to tell you. If you ask, he'll tell you. He'll show you. Then you just ask, relax, and let him do the talking.
And I think deep down, you know that you're asking the source, the, you know, like you say, God of highest order, you know, and there's no mistakes in between. Your soul, I think, knows and guides you to it. Because we know that, if, you know, some people call God some other entities, but I think deep down we know.
So
but
there is only one God.
I totally understand what you talk about.
And no matter what religion they all talk about that there is one main creator,
like,
God.
You know, we've found out that some religions worship some other.
There is
gods,
a lot of
you know.
religions that worship others, and they claim to go to worship the God.
So it's good to have this disclaimer.
But they don't. Yeah. And so for me, it's gotten as easy as just asking. You know, he says he will always be there. He's like a father. You know, I had a vision one time, and I'll leave you with this. This is the last thing I'll share with you. I asked God one time, share with me what is it like to be you? And here's the image I saw. And when I talk about God, remember at the table, I start to choke up. So if I start to choke up, forgive me. I saw my own child sitting on the floor. She was maybe 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, just before she was old enough to walk, but old enough to sit independently on the floor. And she's looking at something. And I'm looking at her from behind, but I'm also sitting in the chair watching as well. 6th dimension, 2 places at once. Okay, God is showing me this. This is years ago. And I could hear her cooing. Then suddenly I can see her face. I'm looking at a different angle. And she's smiling as she's looking at this little wooden block. And on one side is a little duck, and on the other side there might be a little triangle. And she keeps turning it over, and there's the duck. And then there's the triangle. And she's rediscovering it over and over again. And she's got the most satisfied look on her face as she makes that little noise. And then suddenly she stops and looks over, and there's her dad, just making sure he's still there. Okay, he's there. I go back to looking at her little block, and she's back. And I look at my face now, and I'm watching her like this. Oh my God. I'm on the couch watching her do this. And then she goes, gotta get my composure. Look what I've discovered. And she's holding it out for me, sitting on the couch. And I see myself. Tearing up from joy as my child gives me what she just discovered. That's what God feels like, times 1 billion with each of us as he watches us sit and discover life. That's the source. That's the Father. That's why he can't say no when we ask.
Sure.
Beautiful.
All right, my dear friends.
Peter, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll finish this up. Let me stop recording here. I'll just let it play until it's, but I'm gonna finish this up. I'll bottle it up and send it to you. You can review it. And do you have a channel yourself that you want, or you can just share it with whatever you want? Or you
I can share it, but I don't have a channel. I'm just too busy.
We've been thinking of it though, haven't we?
The
We have
thought
a channel. We don't have a lot of followers, but when we share it, sometimes when we share it with people like Charlie or with Nino, they share it with their telegrams.
we do.
Yeah.
And that's
what
I'm worried
huge.
about, Peter. It's just going to go. They're just going to go.
But if you have some, like if you've got contact information, because I'll put on the bottom of the video, if you want to get a hold of, if you're interested in getting a hold of David and Elyse, here's the contact information, the links. Please send them to me so I can put them on there. Whatever you want written on the bottom, or some kind of intro, whatever you feel like.
We've both got websites. So mine's elysemusic.com.
Can you text it to me or email it to me? So
and
I
then
have it all written exactly what I need.
And then davidianrogers.com. But we were talking to Mark Atwood, weren't we? Because we drove to see, we all went
to Charlie's house
on the Saturday evening before the show on Sunday, and we were chatting, and Mark was kind of saying that both me and David should do our own show.
Who's listening to our conversation in the back?
Because we are quite funny. So I have a YouTube channel. You've not got a YouTube, so we're considering it. We don't know how it's going to work yet, but I don't know.
Maybe this would be a nice little pioneer to toss it into the mix.
It is.
Yeah, it would be funny behind the scenes.
It's been said a few times by a few people. Yeah, quite a.
They've said
now.
We'd like to be a fly on your wall for the conversations.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to definitely publish this with your permission.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share it, back obviously with the finished product with you, and then you can do whatever you want with it. I hope you share it with Mark and with Charlie and anyone else. Who wasn't at the show that I was really disappointed was Nicholas Van Yemen. I've been on a couple of shows with him, and I was really hoping to see him. Do you guys have any insight on why
he wasn't available, was he?
I'm not sure.
No, we don't know.
Not sure.
No, don't know. Yeah, are you in contact with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, you. Yeah.
Ask, and it will be shown to you.
Yeah.
Ask Nick. Okay. Nick's the only guy, isn't he? Really?
Yeah.
Nick will tell you.
Yep. I've talked to him a few times. I just have lately. I've not been able to get him on the Hooter or get him, to respond to emails. I thought, well, maybe I pissed him off. I don't know. Well, I'll ask. I'll write him again. Anyway, but yes, thank you so much. And again, I will send this through, and I look forward. I hope that we can do this here again soon, because I really like this. And I really like the growth that I've learned so much, and I hope you've learned a little bit, because we've learned a lot.
It's lovely to meet you both. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And I look forward to when we can, we're going to be at that September either way. I am not sure if I'll be speaking or not, but I hope so. But if not, we're going to be there either way. If not, I'm going to be there either. And if you have any prompting in that department, you want to throw Charlie a bone, throw him up, because he could probably, if you're interested in having me speak there, he probably would like to hear that.
Well, I'm speaking to Mark on Monday.
Perfect. And I got to get a hold of Mark, because we're going to have the similar kind of discussion. Mark and I really connected. I told him about my book, and Mark's one poem in the middle, I See You. I was mesmerized during that thing. And I don't know if you saw this, but he was staring at me as I was watching this thing, because my God, everything in that poem was about those children in that, of my book that I just spoke to him about 5 minutes before that came on, because I just talked to him. And then when it was over, I found myself, I didn't even know I was doing it. I stood up and I was clapping. And then I realized, oh my God, I'm the only one standing, clapping. Thinking, I'm not sitting down. I don't care. I kept clapping. And then finally the whole room stood up and started cheering. That was a godly moment. I mean, I got to talk to him about that because
his poetry has that effect on me.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Oh yeah. That one poem just hit me. And I realized I'll talk to him about it. I don't want to say, I want to burst the bubble, but that poem has to be in that movie somewhere.
Yes. You should get on his show, Peter. When's your book release and your third book release? What have you got a date?
I told him we're gonna schedule. He told me when I write to him and ask for a date, I have to call myself Dr. Johns. And I kept, well, this is Dr. Peter. He goes, no, you're Dr. Johns when you write for. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm Dr. Johns.
That's Atwood. That's Atwood.
Yeah. Oh, when I speak to him on Monday, I'll mention that I've been speaking to you. So
told him you spoke to Dr. John, and we talked a little bit. You'll remember who I am.
Dr. John.
Dr. John.
John, John, John.
Yeah, well, I think he was talking about because of the John, the J John, that's a slang for, because he made that joke about the toilet. That was me he was talking about. Oh, you're the Dr.
Of course, yeah. Oh, I understand now, Dr. John. Right. So if I say to him, I've been speaking to Dr. John, he might go, but he'll get it. He'll get it. Yeah. Oh, it's so exciting. And are you going to come over in September also? Can you?
Absolutely. She has no choice. She has to come.
Yeah.
Yes, he's decided.
And if I get up there and do speak, she's going to be up there with me. You should see what she does in the area of dance. She's an international dancer.
Okay.
Listen, just let me talk, okay? I know you don't like to have a voice, but you're going to have to get used to your voice is back. She can get up in front of a crowd and get people up and activate their spirits with dance. It is amazing.
This is the same like with music, with frequency. You rise up the spirit. The same like you start moving your body, even when you're standing straight. When you start using your body a certain way, you rise up your frequency. So it's wonderful. It's all the same. Yeah.
So she's definitely coming.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's London and Dublin, isn't there? London and Dublin.
Well, we'd have to go to both.
I've never been to England, so for me it would be wonderful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, he said London and Dublin, but that's just the start of the tour. There's going to be others after that too.
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well.
Amazing.
God's going to have to provide us a jet if we're going to have to go back and forth. I already said, look, hey, he said he can provide all we need. I'm not going domestic over and over again, over and over. That's crazy. So he's going to just have to bring me a jet. That's the way it goes.
Dream big.
I can see it. I've already seen it with Mel Gibson and Jim
Caviezel.
You see?
There we go. You put it out in space. It's not my fault. You did it.
And then you're flying over and you're already talking about the movie on the plane coming over. It's all so because you need that meeting right in the sky to set that intention to get it all sorted.
Look at that. There it is. It's done.
So
my dear new friends, thank you so much. Please send us over that contact information. Include your mailing address. I have something I want to send you, and I'm not going to break the bubble, but I want to send it to you by post. So please do that when you send over your contact information, and then we'll talk again very soon.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Love you guys.
Thanks for inviting us on. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Anna.